So what I realized that God was dropping this in my spirit, and it was just an interesting little nugget of wisdom. Someone was sharing some scriptures with me, this is a long time ago, they were sharing some scriptures with me and asking me to consider them. And somehow the topic of deception came up, and I just felt it drop in my mind. I don't think I'm deceived, but then how would I know if I was? I wouldn't know if I was deceived, so I kept an open mind about things. And of course, over the years, maybe a better word would be blind. That's the kind of language that Jesus probably, more directly used. There were things that I was blind to over the years, and there's, I don't like admitting it because I just wish it wasn't so. But there's things that I'm probably still blind to that He'll reveal to me in the coming years. But when we're blind to things, it makes apology all the more. It makes apology all the more difficult when you consider that maybe you're blind to something, and if you see that the other person could be blind to something and you just don't know how to get through to them, and then on top of that you feel like you need to apologize, and at the same time you're sitting there saying, well, maybe maybe I'm just so blind to something that I'm thinking they're blind to something. So you just seek God. You've got to question yourself in the right ways, to the right extent, and all that. You've got to do that because you just never know for sure, unless God assures your heart that you aren't, or shows you where you are, or whatever. You have to be very careful about that sort of thing. So it complicates the process of forgiveness and of apologies and things like that. All this, is just leading up to this single point that a person doesn't apologize because they're big. I've come to believe you don't apologize because you're big. You apologize because you realized you were too small. At least in some situation or whatever it is that you may feel compelled to apologize for, you realized you're too small, you're insufficient. Even if you're doing your best, sometimes we have to face the fact that our best isn't good enough and we need more. And that can be a good thing if it draws us to God. It can be a bad thing if we look at ourselves and say, well, I'm doing all I can. And we never really know if we're really doing all we can, unless the Father tells us it's okay, be at peace, you're fine. He can definitely bring comfort like that to us when that's the right thing. We don't apologize because we're big. We apologize because we realize, at least in some way, we're too small, and we want to not be small anymore. We want to open the door to growth and to getting things out of our hearts and our minds and our relationships and our lives that are smaller than what is appropriate. That would be something different if you're 7 years old than if you're 17, than if you're 47 or 87 or 187. Let me know in the comments if you know anybody who's 187. I'd like to meet them.
We'd love to hear from you. Please write to us at disciplesofcana@gmail.com.